What is going on, everybody? In this video, we are giving you a state of the market and potential stock picks for May 12th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and week ahead. Considering that the market is going down and nothing but red, you might want to consider subscribing, as I try to provide the best analysis possible to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I know a lot of people have questions, and this video is going to be very important because there's obviously a lot going on. A lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of people have their theories, but we all know that the Fed is essentially driving this push down. We have to understand that it's not a full-on crash. It is pretty controlled crash, in my opinion. Now, being said, coming from the top, we're almost at 19% since the beginning of the year, since the peak of coming into 2022, January, to the point we are right now. We are very close to 19% correction on the whole year. And being said, this half the year is almost gone already. So coming into this year, the biggest thing are coming to where we are now. Today, we had some good, essentially information, such as saying that 50 point basis move is what we're going to get. That's what we heard this morning. We actually kind of got a pop this morning. I thought we were going to reverse today, even though I said we needed to retest that 20 and we probably sell off. There was a lot of strength there. And then what happened is we started to push and then we stopped. It was probably the biggest bounce I think I've seen in a while, aside from this, obviously this candle coming off of Powell, coming off the meeting, the FOMC meeting. This is one of the strongest candles I've seen this morning. But then we had Bullard, essentially the president's FOMC of the Fed. He came out and was talking about a 75-point basis move again. Now, we just got cleared in the air. That was the panic, was a 75-point basis move, was what was going to be coming into the next meeting. And then we were kind of clearing the air. All we were hearing is just a 50-point basis move, 50-point basis move across the board, which was good. I think the market was okay with that, even though it was really high. It was hitting expectations. And so I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to consolidate and hold here, roughly around the 39.83 mark. And then Bullard had that statement. He didn't say it was going to happen, but he said it was going to be something that they would consider, and that was just enough to essentially flip this market and start selling again, to try, I think, to hit that 5% extra from that point. So I think in total, we're looking at a full, roughly around a 20% correction on the year to price in a 75-point basis move. Again, I think that's just a ratio. Obviously, it changes. We had a 25 and then a 50-point basis move over the past two meetings. And then next meeting, I think we'll probably get a 50 or lower. But I think with him making that statement, the market was like, okay, well, we got to correct another 5% to try to price that in, and then we'll go from that point. But this is also leading us to a very big problem, because technical-wise, we are starting to look very bad on a lot of charts. Not that we haven't already, but we're starting to look really bad, and this thing could get really nasty. Now, I still believe in my theory that the extra 5% for that 75-point basis move is what I am looking at. Now, again, all theories, right? They have to be proven before they're all just theories first. Something I've always talked about. You have to have some kind of knowledge about what's going on in the current markets and have some kind of thesis going in each and every day. And with new data, you will make corrections upon that. And so today, I still believe, again, that we are looking around the 20% full correction, roughly around there. It could get nasty. It could go very nasty, go 30, 40, 50%, right? anything is on the table. It is a stock market. Anything is possible. Things can go to zero. You have to be aware of that. This is normal. This is what the markets are normally doing. So being said, we're going to look for that 20. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on like picking stocks, because right now it's really about the market sentiment and what's currently going on. So if we look back in January, the peak here, down to where we're currently at, essentially at close today, you're looking at 1837. So technically, if we run all the way down to the 3850, that would put us around 20%. If we hit the 38, looking at about a 21, 22% correction, kind of really thinking we're going to hit around here. At some point, we're going to get a very vicious bounce and retest this back up to this 20 monthly. I'm thinking it's kind of going to be around possibly the 3780. But we'll have to see. We'll see if we correct at the 3841. Could be a very strong possibility. My thing is you really have to be careful with any kind of short positions, because I believe at some point with these weak bounces, it will reverse. And the one time you try to short, that short will get absolutely obliterated because of what's going on without at least a good solid bounce. Like I was waiting for this thing to bounce straight out of here today and try to retest that 2141. That's what I initially thought, because there was a lot of strength coming in this morning, and then it just died, and then Bullard came on and just sunk everything. So again, I think that's currently my thesis. But again, if it breaks, if it hits around that 22 and it's not reversing, then you got to just go purely off of technicals, because then my theory would be completely out the door from that point. I mean, even technical wise, you could still drop and bounce around that. You'd start looking at the roughly around the 36. I don't think it would ever get that far. Again, when you're looking at higher time frames, it doesn't actually touch the line. Typically it comes close. So you'd be looking around that 3,800 mark for a reversal. So I think potentially we could hit that, but ultimately, I think, again, somewhere in this range, which is something I talked about, somewhere between the 38 and where we're currently sitting at the 39, 38 mark. I think somewhere in between here will be the reversal for that 75-point basis move. I think in the coming week or so, I think we'll find a bottom and we'll base. And then from that point, I think we'll start heading back up. Again, anything is possible. So just be mindful of that. And it's just a theory, right? None of this is 100%. You should have some kind of idea where things are kind of going here. But you start looking at monthlies and everything, you really have to be careful, right? Like we rejected, we kind of retested that 20 here, and we got one heck of a wick, and then came back down. And got rejected pretty hard, but that wasn't a clean break. Typically, you have a nice push down, and you have a pretty strong push up, get rejected, and then you come down pretty hard. Now, if we continue to drop from here, like I said, this thing could get pretty nasty. You're looking at 25% until you hit the 200 weekly. You got a really strong support down here, and I really don't see the market breaking down below here unless the whole financial system gets absolutely obliterated. Do I see it breaking this? But I mean, I think that backstop is pretty strong at the 3,600. Again, you're still looking at a huge, you're talking about Tesla around 400 or 500. You want to see a drop all the way down to here. And considering everything's already been smashed down so bad already, it's hard to believe that there's still more that could potentially happen. So I actually want to pull up my studies. I typically take these off, but I want to put these on just so you can kind of see this in some of these other stocks here, because I don't always mark out the monthlies on the ones I don't typically always play. But I'll jump on Bitcoin real quick. This is something we do have the 50. So I was talking about around that roughly that 28K is like our stop. If we do break here, then it could be concerning. Then you have the 200 around that 16K mark. But again, if my theory is right, I think Bitcoin can hover around here for a reversal back up. I think this could wick. Again, this is a monthly. You have to remind yourself that this is a monthly, right? Just because it's down here, meaning this thing could push all the way down to 23 and then wick all the way back up. We still got, this month has just started. We're just like the first week into this month, first week and a half into this month. So this thing can wick all the way back up and start ripping. So that's something you really have to be mindful for. But currently right now, I think we're trying to price that in. Once we get that priced in, then I think there's no real other news aside from the next Fed meeting. And if we have that priced in, then it's not really going to matter unless they come in at 100-point basis move or something really ridiculous. It's unheard of, and then could really could just completely crush the market and essentially all hopes in the market. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes from here. But Bitcoin, again, still, I've been talking, it was around that 32K. But again, this is a monthly. You have to remember that monthly on a lot of these, right? We smashed down and then we wicked straight back up. Very strong, good reversal, especially on higher time frames. At the 50 is normally really good. Is normally where everything reverses, and we haven't touched the 50 in a while, so just be mindful of that. So could potentially reverse there, head back up. Again, I'm not panicked. This is why I say to trade light. I've been mostly cash throughout this whole thing. I take day trades typically, and then when I see potential, like some of the pumps we've had, then I've gotten in shares or longer term positions to swing for those. But it's understanding that because of this volatility that you're mostly cash, if not all cash, while this thing throws a fit. And so you're not getting wrecked and having to, you had all these massive gains and then you gave them all back, and then hopefully it doesn't keep going down, right? Then you just, all these gains that you had, right? You lose them all and then you got to gain it all back. So that's also why I take profit along the way. And so I think it's important to, it's not financial advice, but that's how I play things in any kind of investment I do. I think it's always important to take profit along the way, because if you don't, there's no guarantee that it's going to be there forever. So, but being said, what else do I got here? The other thing I'm looking at, let's look at some of the big ones to kind of see where we're at. And this is why I'm kind of saying we might be in some big trouble here. Because you have like Tesla. Tesla just broke the 20 EMA monthly. Now, it's not a full break. Again, this is a monthly. This thing could wick right back up. Something to consider. Could be a possibility. It hasn't done this in several years, past couple of years. Even during the pandemic, it clamped down. What year was this? 2021. I can't even remember what year the pandemic started. But even, even during the pandemic, right, we never actually, during the pandemic, we came down March, April. I think that's right. On the 19th. Oh, we had the stock split too. I gotta remember that. So it's roughly around there, but nonetheless, we haven't broke it. Essentially, that 20 we haven't broken even during the pandemic. So when that started, so that's something to consider. That if we break this, if we hold above this starting into June, if we're below essentially the 758 by June, we could be in big trouble and potentially see a 500 Tesla again. And maybe even more. I mean, who knows? But the 500 is a very strong support right there. It is Tesla. I don't think it would sell past that. Again, anything is possible, but I think that's essentially our do or die point in a lot of stock markets. If the stock market really goes to shit and just the world in general, the financial system essentially crumbles, I think we'll just fall down or something happens with Elon or the company itself. But aside from that, I don't see this breaking past that. So that is something really close to watch, is to watch this, the 758 mark. Definitely mark that and see where we hold. Again, it is only Wednesday too. We could potentially start running back up. If we get 2% more tomorrow, maybe by Friday we can start reversing it. Just have to see. Maybe this week is the selling week. It could potentially be the selling week. and then we turn around and just start running back the last 2 months, or last 2 weeks of the month, and then make a lot of these losses that we had back. Could very well happen. Apple, something big to watch as well. We haven't even touched the 20 monthly yet. We're coming close. You're looking at the 143. Should get a very nice bounce off of this. Again, this has always been a safe haven. So if it does break that, again, good potential problem here. Could potentially fall all the way down to 110. If Apple falls down to 110, you can only imagine with mid caps, small caps, you're talking about everything is turning into a penny stock by that point, because everything's already taken a pretty bad haircut. So Google, another big one. It actually broke underneath, and it has been retesting over this past month. Now it's starting to sell. This could potentially drop all the way down to 1875 from where it currently is. It's not saying there's not support throughout here. I mean, you have all the round numbers in here, the psychological numbers, the 2K, the 2100 mark, 2200 mark. You got all those potential ones that could potentially hold it. But again, that 50 is sitting around the 1887. Like I've always said, you'll get that retest. Then normally you'll at least tag the 50, and then you start reversing. But we have to see. We have to see it again. I think my theory could be correct that we come down and get that 75-point basis move and start ripping back up. And you look at ones like Amazon. Amazon is getting absolutely obliterated here. This thing, I mean, you got some support here at the 1756 mark. It's currently sitting at support here at the 2037 mark, but that 200 is sitting at the 1220 mark. Now, I know a lot of people see this, and I'm not saying it does touch the 200s like I just said, but this thing could potentially even hit 1700 before it gets a reverse on it. Especially when you break down past the 50 like this, and this is a clean break. This is the clean breaks I like to see. You actually should get a pump back up. Typically, when you get that first, you get that clean break like this, typically you get a nice candle up, get a retest, and then you get a hard rejection, and that's when it kind of tries to make its way back up like that. That's typically how you get a reversal. But those are things I'm kind of watching coming into the next coming days. And then AMD, might as well bring up the chips. This thing got rejected hard. It's under the 20. It could potentially go down to 74 from where it's currently sitting. So that's something you definitely want to be keeping an eye on here as well. That's the monthly. If you look on the daily for this thing. So you definitely... It's definitely still a long ways to go, even for AMD, and as well as it's done, that's still another 16% haircut on AMD for the chips before potentially reversal. Again, the 200 is always normally good for a reversal, or it's very close. Normally when you hit that no matter what's really going on, at some point, unless the market is like financial system is completely wrecked, that 200 is normally a really good period for reversal, especially higher time frame. And also understand there's major events that cause you to even get close to a 200 like this on higher time frames. So just be mindful of that. This video has actually been pretty long. I didn't really want to give too many like stock predictions for tomorrow. Again, right now it's either you don't play at all, or you're investing with a very long outlook on things, and only high validation stocks, big names that everybody knows, not just some random ticker that you picked, because right now it will be a penny stock within the next couple of days, perhaps a month. So you definitely need to be careful about that. I do have that thesis about another 20% correction, we'll give or take another 2% on top of that. I think we can reverse this thing. but time will tell. So that is my thesis. And ultimately, again, understand we're under some really critical levels that thesis doesn't give, right? Then it goes to complete technicals after that. And at that point, we can really free fall from that point. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Go ahead and drop a thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.